Hi, Ludovic. Now I will try to pronounce your last name correctly. Champenois? Is it perfect?
Yeah, Champenois, yes.
Champenois, perfect.
Ludovic like Ludwig.
Ludovic like Ludwig. Ah, okay. What was your first computer?
My first computer was Amstrad CPC 64.
Wow. I had ZX Spectrum Amstrad 128K. This is when Amstrad bought ZX Spectrum. This was my first computer.
It was after, yeah.
Yeah.
I got the first one. It had a audio tape for storing programs, and you could really hear your bugs coming from the tape.
It was in my case, in yours as well, because the tape was attached to the keyboard. Actually, in my case.
Yeah, I think it was attached to it. Yes, and it had a screen. I mean, everything was bundled. You know, it's everything included: tape, CPU, RAM, video, amazing video.
Yeah.
I paid for it maybe in 2 weeks because I did a genealogical tree for my family that I printed on paper, and I sold the paper, and I could pay for my computer, you know.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Okay. Interesting.
It was my first job. I was very young.
How young were you?
I cannot tell you.
Okay. But this is what you started with the tree and not playing games?
Oh, I do not play games. I've never ever played games. And I remember when I did my computer science studies, I did end of the year project, and it was all about gaming theory and why games would be a kick-ass industry in the future. I described everything, but I did not play. So it was more the philosophical aspect of playing games on computer, but I never played.
But as kid, I mean, why you didn't try it? No, because I like to play. Because in the games there was an interesting mood, so I just enjoyed the situation. But then they became boring, and I started programming. But I played a little bit at the beginning.
No, I never went into games, but I did computer music a lot.
Ah, yeah, kudos to you.
Music was my hobby.
So how you did the tree? Like, was it a programming involved, or how you did it?
Yeah, it was programming in BASIC and, small. I mean, I don't remember if I used recursion or not. I don't even know if you had recursion to print things, but other things. And it was just mostly entering the data and nicely formatting in with tabs or, indentation. And then once a couple had too many kids, you had to tweak a little bit because my family is pretty large. So depending on which level you were in the tree, you would have more space or not.
Okay.
I could put 2 names in one line or 4 names in one line. So it was, quite advanced.
And how you learned BASIC back then? I mean,
reading docs, we did not have real internet at that time. So
how long did it took?
Buying magazines, all paper based, and going to shops and talking to other people,
How long did it took to learn programming, really?
I don't know. I mean, 2 months or
not bad.
I bought it, and then I started learning from magazines.
And why you bought it? I mean, you saw it on the TV, or what is the idea buying a computer?
Well, I knew computers would be what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So initially, I was buying US magazines that you could buy in France, and I was, trying to see which computer with a price I could pay for it, because it was very expensive at that time. I think if you compare to dollars now, I mean, pretty okay computer at that time was $8,000 or $10,000.
Yeah, but not ours, right? The ZX Spectrum was cheaper.
Not ours. Yeah, that's right. But I was looking at, I wanted a computer, and the only price range as of today would be 8,000. I say, well, definitely not for me.
Okay. So and what happens? What happens after the tree exploration? So I mean, you kept programming with the computer, or what was your ideas? I mean, you just.
So yeah, I did a little bit music, because I remember it has a sound interface in it. So I did some music as well. And then
which music? Jean-Michel Jarre-like music, or?
Yeah, but it was more 8 bits or even maybe 4 bits at that time. But even now, I mean, people are making a lot of 8 bits music. I mean, it's a trend. I mean, people love redoing all the old fashioned, songs that they used to listen during games, by the way, because computer music was maybe initially mostly either done by theoretical guys or game designers,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. So it did some. ZX Spectrum was not great on that. I wanted to do this, but it was somehow I didn't manage to. But what I remember, Amiga 500 was great in music, so they had a better support.
So I got Amiga, 500 or 1000, I don't remember. But yeah, later on I was able to buy Amiga.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you kept with the Amstrad basic programming, and then you got Amiga, and then I assume assembler, right? Or
well, yeah. I mean, so Amiga was, and I got it mostly for music as well, just to was the trend at that time. I mean, you could do amazing graphics. You could even crawl images and change screen resolution. So you could have one image with one resolution and a second one with a different one. It was amazing at that time. But before that, I went to the university. So engineering school. And this is where I learned some programming language. The first one was APL.
APL, okay.
What's the programming language?
Okay. A programming language.
I remember my first project doing APL was the Game of Life. You remember the Game of Life? Yeah. And it was 2 lines of APL.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because APL is very, very concise. I mean, you can write a lot of matrix multiplication in one operator.
Okay.
And it was, the entire APL, Game of Life programming in 2 lines of code. I was very happy about it.
Were the lines short or long?
The what?
The lines.
Oh, the line, I think they were more than 128. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Maybe you could write the entire program in a tweet.
Yeah, I was in a project with someone who really liked Perl. And sometimes if we had something to do, 1-liner was a short program, 2-liner was a mid-range, and 3-line program, we knew that we had spent several days. This was his thinking.
Yes. And, talking about that, I mean, I would love to talk about what we are doing now. I mean, so you had shell scripts that, is a collection of lines. And now it seems that we are going ballistic with orchestrating scripts.
We come to that later. I'm right after the conference talk right now, and I exactly spoke about that. So I did, the comparison Java back then and clouds right now, and we can have a chat about that. But
because for me, it's both funny and depressing. But we can chat more about that.
Absolutely. Before we do this, the question is: you studied computer science, right?
Well, I went to an engineering school and. In France, engineering schools are pretty generic. You can learn anything, cooking, become a priest or become a software engineer. It depends. So they really adapt their training to who you are and what you want to do. So I was happy to have they had a computer room and a few gigs. And we were maybe less than 10,
Okay. Where was it? In Paris?
No, it was in near Lyon, in France.
Okay. And you enjoyed your study?
Yeah, this is basically the only thing I was doing.
Okay.
I was not, it was very advanced maths and physics and, some mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So, boring stuff for, French engineers, to go to a large or companies like EDF or, electricity, difference, but I was not really into becoming a generic engineer. I wanted to do computers.
Okay. So APL,
I was able to have access to computers.
So you learned APL. What was after APL at the uni?
Yeah, APL was the first one. And then maybe Fortran. Yeah, we did Fortran. Was it at that time we had Pascal as well, or Pascal was just starting?
Yeah, Turbo Pascal.
So I remember doing Pascal, and my second year of engineering, I went to an internship in computer music as well. And the guy was able to buy Apple II. I think it was Apple II with Pascal and assembler. And here I basically invented what the iPad is.
Really?
So the project was writing a software that would drive a drawing pad.
Okay.
So you had a pen and a flat drawing pad, and you could capture the movement of the pen on the pad. And the software was trying to do more or less audio mixer with tracks, vertical tracks, and depending on where the musician was putting the pen, it could control many other devices. If you buy music software for iPad, not very for Android, because music and Android is a nightmare, but on iPad you can find now the latest version of inputting things on a screen and controlling system. And I don't know if you know the IRCAM in Paris. It's a center of music paid by the government in Paris. And I remember being published as a paper during a conference. Maybe it was in, I don't know, 82, 83.
Okay.
So I still have a book of my paper. And next to my paper, some guys from, Silicon Valley was there as well, talking about, saying they were doing crazy things. But I was very happy reading it 20 years after that I was in a publication where, you had some people already from San Francisco and me, as an intern. That was fun.
Yeah, it is actually incredible, because you cannot compare times back then without internet. You have to get the idea first, then execute that. So it was complete different times. So we did not have internet, so it was my first international conference. Was it big, the conference?
I don't really remember. I just discovered the book maybe 10 years ago again.
Okay.
And so it's not even published electronically. It's printed paper.
Yeah, I know what it is. So
you cannot query for it. You will not find it unless I scan it and then I put it in a computer.
Yeah, but you are working at Google right now, so you could scan the book, in the library.
In fact, I should scan this book. I should have Google to scan this book. Yeah. In fact, maybe I don't know why Google did not scan it yet. It's a massive bug. Yes.
Yeah, so you have to to ping them. So what's going on with them?
I know.
Very good.
Yeah, they scan my paper. Yes.
But the pen was attached with the cable, as I remember. I was
You had a cable. Yeah, you had a cable. It was used, I think, for doing DigiCAD. Drawing with computers. But then we acted to do a mixing table. An advanced mixing table. And I remember, it was used in a live concert in Lyon, maybe in 83 or 84.
Okay. Amazing stories. So what happened after the pen? So you started to work, this was at the university. What happened after the university?
So, the problem with computer music, it didn't really pay as much as I needed, because, I was a poor student at the time. So I decided to move a little bit away from computer music and, do a real boring engineering stuff.
Okay.
But it was not that boring. I was working on a company, a very small startup, who help large companies to put cables on the seafloor.
Huh.
Interesting, no? Because now Google is doing that,
Okay.
And you had to track again electronically. Where the cable was laid on the seabed, and so there I was also doing computers on boats. So vomiting next to my keyboard. The keyboards were really attached with screws on the desk, because everything was moving left and right.
Okay.
And it was fun. So it was also in Fortran.
Okay. And you liked Fortran and APL, or was it like?
No, APL was only
Okay.
school. Yes, I mean, yeah, I didn't see any usage of APL outside of school. But Fortran was used everywhere with VAX VMS. I mean, yeah, VAX. You remember digital equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a VAX VMS embedded in a boat,
In a boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to track. To do all the computer science related to laying cables on the sea. So
not bad.
So this was one of my things, and then I did. I remember this because a massive bug. I did a software that was printing on massively big papers plannings.
Okay.
You need to do A before B, and then critical paths and all this. And it was for operation planning, and we had to print those massively big schedules, maybe 10 meters long, So you start by buying this and that, and then you assemble it, then you wait for a boat, then So everything was well described. So I helped writing this software that was printing this.
But why you need it? Why someone needed such massive plans? It was for architects or what?
Well, people doing big operations on the seafloor.
Seafloor again. Okay.
Yeah.
So back to the seafloor. What I'm interested in the seafloor is, what was your longest distance you went by the boat in VMS and the VAX? So it was Atlantic or just a sea or what?
No, it was between England and Norwegia.
Norway.
So Nordic Sea. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So crazy. So this was lots of adventures, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, there were probably some storms or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah. I remember flying by helicopter, from one place to another one, and then vomiting in boats, while debugging. So yeah.
And the reliability of the VMS of the VAX machine was not a problem.
Amazing. Yeah, it could send moves. Moving a lot. Okay. So I guess I guess at the time they had hard disk. I remember having tapes.
Okay.
To back up a lot of things, but I think tapes was where we would store all the data that we capture, but. I think that disk at that time. I don't remember.
What I remember in my project, there was a huge operation, and they had the host machines, and there was like a disaster planning or disaster, how to call it, recovery event, and the idea was to move the machines out of the building and start them on the parking lot. And what happened was it was not even, so the machines didn't boot. This was funny because the planning was to move them out and start them, but because the parking lot was not even, they had some control inside, so the hard disk didn't move. So this was actually for me.
It was not a VAX VMS. VAX VMS could boot.
15 years ago, I worked with a consultant, and he had actually VAX VMS in his room. So it looked like a cube more or less on wheels.
Yeah, so I loved the VAX VMS, yes.
Okay. So what happened after your printing, seafloor printing company? This gets more and more interesting.
Well, yeah, so I decided, it was a very small company, so it did not, go anywhere, even though it's still, active somehow now, but I decided to go for a bigger consulting French company that was doing a lot of new things, including a payroll software to handle payroll, so printing paychecks and. But it was not the only thing that this company was doing, and this company decided to rewrite. This company had bought a company in the US that was doing logistics on VAX VMS, by the way.
Okay.
And it was the only logistics software on a VAX. You know, everybody else was doing IBM. I mean, of course, and it was the only non-industrial software running on a VAX at that time. But they decided to rewrite everything in Unix. You know this operating system,
yeah,
and C or C++. So I was hired to help them rewrite, a large software written in BASIC and Fortran VMS using the VMS database.
Okay.
CD, common data repository. I mean, plenty of things from VAX, but we decided to rewrite everything in Unix and C++.
And
using DEC computers, I mean, digital equipment computers.
Yes, the alphas, right? This was alpha, I think.
Yeah, alpha. So it was pretty good Unix machines. So, yeah, I mean, we were very ambitious. At that time, it was what people was doing object-oriented stuff. So I remember an engineer in Pittsburgh. So, we were looking at object-oriented libraries. One was from NIH. It's not invented here, but it's a national
Institute of something, right?
Institute of Health.
Health.
And they had those massively big C++ core Java, core libraries like Guava. Guava, but written in. And one engineer in Pittsburgh decided to start doing object-oriented programming and was creating a class which was a string class.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
And it was a collection of string characters, but each character was its own C++ class. I mean, it was a freaking nightmare.
Yeah. This remembers me one of the first Java project, distributed programming. Someone wanted to have distributed computing, and they started with Java primitives, and they wanted to have them distributed, like the remote int or something like this. I couldn't even get the concept what they want. Yeah, this was like complete crazy. Yeah.
And now we have AWS Lambdas or Google Cloud Function, which is more or less the same.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is like distributed command pattern with hundreds of moving parts. And everyone is happy.
That nobody can figure out how to make it work, except some random people promoting it.
Exactly. By the way, exactly what I said 2 hours ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was official.
I think we should do a podcast about it.
Yeah, we should do it.
We are doing it now.
But you are hard to get. So what I usually do, the first podcast, just introduction. And then we can just talk about that, because I have also my opinions. But not everything is bad with Lambdas in Google Cloud Functions. They are perfect for integration as an event listener, like message-driven beans. This is exactly the purpose. But it's a not general-purpose programming model. It's like in Java distributed command pattern when no one knows what's going on. This is like...
Yeah, so I think we agree. Yeah.
Very good. Oh,
so anyway,
I wouldn't expect that, but thank you. So NIH, you got this string class in C++. What happened then?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was using 10 times more memory than any other class, but we were object oriented. And the string is a basic of software, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a company name, an employee name, a product name. It's a string, and a string is a collection of characters. The characters might be a collection of, bits, I don't know. But we were very happy with our string, object. And comparing with the NIH string implementation. And so, yeah, we wasted a lot of time and money on that. So,
now be honest. Were you actually excited about the string, or you knew from the beginning that it's going to nowhere?
I knew the string was not the right way to implement software. I knew it.
Yeah, I was not sure, because the other people, they seemed really skilled in experience. And I was younger, and I saw what they're doing, and they were so convinced about the remote integers, whatever. I say, maybe it works, but Corba was everywhere. So then I thought it actually cannot work. But at the beginning, I was suspicious. I mean, okay, if everyone is so convinced,
I mean, Corba, I mean, I was very interested. And again, I was more working on the R&D side of the business. providing basic layers for other people to write real, business functionalities, right? I mean, payroll or, doing logistic, when do you order, a truck to deliver things from A to B, or where do you put your, operating, where you store your items, all those, things that I had no clue about. Okay. So I was just providing the basic software building blocks.
Yeah. Like foundation, right? So you were the plumbing specialist.
Yes.
Okay. And how much time you spent at the company? So you quit or?
It was, so they sent me to the US.
Okay.
That's why now I'm in the US.
That's the reason.
So,
okay.
So they sent me in the US and working with people from France and from Pittsburgh. And I stayed in Pittsburgh for almost 2 years. And then the project, was way too ambitious. And we were, not the size of Google, but we wanted to do better than Google or better than, anybody else. And I think we failed. It was very ambitious, but we failed. So they asked me to go back to Paris. And then I sent my resume, my resume by chance to a few companies in the Silicon Valley, including Sun Microsystems. And the other one was Tandem. You remember Tandem?
Yeah, there was like a dual core CPU company, right? They did high availability. They did.
Yes.
That was one of the first clusters, the Tandem software.
Yes, exactly. And they paid. They wanted to have an interview with me, so they paid my plane ticket from Pittsburgh to Silicon Valley. And once I was there, I stayed a week, and I stopped by at Sun Microsystems, and I was able to have an interview as well over there.
And you knew about Sun Microsystems already, or?
I knew nobody.
But you knew the company, so was it exciting for you, or
I knew the company. Yeah, Sun Microsystems at that time was well known.
But you like the company as well, so it would like.
Yeah, I like the company because I knew what they were doing. Before I was using DEC computers, but Sun was better. They had also a very nice C++, core library, the ancestor of, they had a very nice, C++ centric UI framework to programs to do nice GUI, So, and at that time, I did not really know they were doing Java. And I passed the interview and they gave me an offer. So I came back 2-3 months in France for vacation, like any decent French engineer.
Yeah, of course. European engineer, not only French.
Yeah, vacation is very, in the US, you quit a job and you quit on Friday and you start a new one on Monday.
Next year.
But in Europe, you quit a job and then you start a new one 3 months after.
Okay. Yeah, so of course, reasonable.
I arrived in in Mountain View, where now the Facebook is. You know the Facebook campus?
Yeah, I know that the Facebook campus is in the place where Sun Microsystems was.
Yeah, so this is where I started at Sun. Already, I was not a Facebook employee, but at the center of the world, because now it's the center of Facebook. And nobody knew what to do with Java at that time, but Java was everywhere.
Which year? Which year was it? You remember?
It was 96.
Oh, this was very beginning. JDK 1.1, not even 1.1, 1.0.
No, 0.9. Yeah.
Yeah, because 1997 or 1998 we got 1.1. Was really excited about that. But
yes, exactly. But 96 was the move from Java 0.9 to 1.0.
With Javasoft. Exactly. So you worked for Sun or for Javasoft?
Well, no. So I did not work for Javasoft. I worked for Sun Tools. And I remember we had a lot of competition between the two entities. They call it planets or, But so Javasoft, they were developing the core, Java libraries and JVM, etc. But Sun Tools, we were more in tools. I don't remember if you remember Teamware.
No.
Teamware is
Forte. I remember Forte, but not Teamware.
Yeah. So you remember SSCS, like source control, or VCS. So Teamware was, and in fact, even I use Git, but was the equivalent of Git, but developed by some people and way better than SCCS for source code control.
Mm-hmm.
You had, three-way merge, but anyways, so this is the group doing tools at Sun. This is the group I joined, and we did the ancestor of IDEs.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the two IDEs. I mean, Sun Studio and I don't remember. I mean, nobody was using that.
Yeah, I used Sun Java Studio and Sun's Java Studio Workshop. I had both CDs still.
So yes, I was working on that. And then we decided to buy a very small company in Prague.
Yeah.
Called Netbeans. You remember Netbeans?
Yeah, of course. Still use it from time to time.
Yeah. So I was very happy because, I was part of this team evaluating other companies. And I remember interviewing, at the time, the CEO of Netbeans, so he came in Mountain View and, he talked to many, many people, and I was one of them. So I was very happy with that. And we decided to buy them,
But Jonathan Schwartz was also behind that, right?
Oh, yeah. Jonathan Schwartz was there. Yes. Yeah.
And did you work with Jonathan? Because back then he was not... Okay.
Yeah.
And your story is similar. Do you know the guy called Romain Gricourt?
Romain Gricourt, oui.
Yeah. So I did an interview with him as well.
When I left. Yeah.
Okay. Because I performed an interview with him as well, and he also worked at Sun on the tooling side.
Yeah. So then NetBeans was,
So you worked with NetBeans?
Sorry?
You used and worked with NetBeans?
Oh, yeah. So I became, a NetBeans engineer, but not working from Prague, but working from Mountain View, but helping them. So I was more on the Enterprise Edition, the EE edition, where Sun wanted to make money off, So you had this tiering like IntelliJ, the free edition, and then adding Java EE or J2E, or server-side programming tools on top of the free edition. So this is where we integrated. So we try to expose easier to use J2E, because at that time J2E was a monster.
Yeah.
Like Kubernetes is today.
Exactly what I said. What I said 2 hours ago, just like telepathy.
I'm sorry, I did not listen to what you said. But, at that time we had deployment descriptors, XML, and everything was ASCII driven based, and now it's the same with YAML, but it's the same.
Identical. Back then we used Xdoclet to generate the deployment descriptors, and now we are using Helm charts to do exactly the same.
I know. But I remember Xdoclet was forbidden at Sun Microsystems by Javasoft because it was hacking the Java specification in a way the Java specification was not designed.
Okay.
So it was adding programming data inside comments.
Okay.
Right, in the Java doc, which was forbidden because a Java compiler could not process this data.
It's interesting because I delivered courses for official courses for Sun Microsystems, and I always use Xdoclet.
So Javasoft was the church, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of monks and trying to give all the best practice, and Javasoft said to the entire Sun community and internally that no one could use Xdoclet because it was not spec compliant.
Yeah.
You had to use XML descriptors or later annotations, but
interesting. So you use on an enterprise. Which NetBeans version was it? You remember that?
Well, we also bought a company called Forte. Do you remember
Forte for J? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, at the end, we had our internal Sun Studios and NetBeans and Forte. So it was a mess, trying to unify everything was a complete mess.
Yeah.
Because everybody had their own story and their own tooling and background and even customers. I mean, Forte had pretty large customers. So, we try to combine those three teams, and as any acquisition that I've been into, it doesn't work well usually.
Yeah, that's true.
So there is a lot of politics, very smart engineers, but what we call now PMs. At that time, we didn't have officially PMs. But now they are called PMs, trying to define what would be a good tooling strategy that would make revenue, and which I think it's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, we tried. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that only IntelliJ is really, has been successful in this.
But they also get now hard times because I use Visual Studio Code a lot of time, and this is for me good enough, So
yeah. And I remember we were talking a lot to Borland as well. Borland, you remember
really?
Borland?
Yeah, sure. JBuilder, one of my favorite ideas. So I use JBuilder 3 a lot. I started with 3. Yeah. I used Visual Cafe back then, Java Studio Workshop. Yeah. I wanted to use the MetroWorks Code Warrior, but never got it. Visual H for Java was not that bad actually. And NetBeans, I started with version 5. This is where I become excited, because before that, there was even strange. You couldn't add jar to a class path. You had to mount a jar. So that was a very strange for me. It was like, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. We started from, very, very low level of support. And I think now, I'm still using it, NetBeans. I'm still using it I think we are maybe 3 or 4 Googlers still using NetBeans internally. And everybody else is making fun of us, which is fine. I don't care.
So where NetBeans shines, I would say, is simplicity. You open just a project and you can work. Yeah. So it's incredible. They have nice shortcuts.
There's nothing to import from. There is no import to workspace.
You just opened it. No plugins. You can just work. It's a very pragmatic tool. And I use NetBeans in larger projects. And there are smaller things. I just use Visual Studio Code. Which and by the way, the GraalVM team, there's a GraalVM plugin for Visual Studio Code, which actually runs NetBeans behind the scenes, which is funny. So you can.
Okay. So I need to install it now.
Yeah, you can try it.
So now you have Visual Code running Eclipse and NetBeans.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I actually started with Visual Studio Code to do some JavaScript. And then I saw that it also supports Java, so became lazy and now using for both. But larger projects, still NetBeans is my way to go. Eclipse I stopped use, I think, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. 15 years ago, not 20, 15, 2006, 2007. And IntelliJ, I have all the licenses, but I cannot remember the shortcuts. So I launch it, I look at this, and then, this is my way to...
Yeah. So anyway, going back to my involvement in NetBeans, I realized that application server at that time, either you could hack more and more tooling on crap, or you could fix the crap, right? And I decided maybe I should work more on application servers than tools.
Okay.
Right? And this is where I got involved in J2E and, Java E5, which was, I think, a big, big revolution trying to simplify developer needs.
It was.
And so I was involved in both sides, providing tools for it, but also making sure that whoever wrote the specification really wrote by hand an application to see how impossible it was with VI.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. It was not possible to write an EJB in VI. Even the EJB spec lead could not write an EJB using VI.
Yeah.
And I told them, please, start from scratch, give me an EJB. They could not. So right there, I knew something was wrong.
Yes. Okay, I didn't knew that you thinking it identical to me. So for me, it's also suspicious. And and you started at the spec side or tool? So you started to work on the Sun, so the predecessor of Glassfish?
Yeah, the Sun server. At that time, we also had an acquisition a collaboration with iPlanet.
Netscape, right?
Netscape. So, I also have my email address at Netscape.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I was Ludo at
Netscape.
I was Ludo at sun.com. I was Ludo at netbeans.org, maybe. And I was Ludo at netscape.com. And I'm Ludo at google.com, So I was able to keep my Ludo LDAP on all those either small or large companies.
You're crazy. So, this is quite an achievement. It's the history of internet. It's the Ludo.
Yeah.
Ludo email addresses.
Having my email address at netscape.com, I was, very happy with that.
Yeah, sure. So, Netscape Navigator back then, it was...
It was amazing.
The Anderson Horowitz is the inventor of Netscape, and now he's a huge investor, right, in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And JavaScript, funny story. There was a Netscape sweet spot. It was server-side engine in Netscape. There was an application server where you can run JavaScript. And Java.
I know. I love it. I have all the books. I have all the paper
nice books with the the light tower. Always.
I have the CD-ROMs and So it was JavaScript server-side way before Node.js.
Yeah. With client push, you are able to push to the client with proprietary technology. I forgot about that. But the point is, Java came out, and I was hired a huge project to help a company to migrate JavaScript from the server to Java because they say JavaScript on the server has no future. And it worked. Everyone was happy. And what we did, we migrated everything to Java.
Yeah, maybe it was marketing pushing for.
Yeah,
Java,
but funny. But funny. I met them.
Worked,
Yeah, I met them one, and they said, oh, "Look now, do you have a JavaScript on the server?" But the company is no more operational. But it was funny. So so great. So you tried to fix the Sun Java server, the iPlanet?
Well, I tried to unify it with what we had internally and what really we wanted to do. And we also had this RI, reference implementation from Javasoft.
Remember that? Yeah.
You remember it?
Yeah.
So the ancestor of Glassfish.
Yeah.
So this is why we decided that we would use the RI reference implementation branding to both continue doing the reference implementation as well as trying to have a business offering on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to unify things from iPlanet, from Sun, and from Javasoft. And this is where Glassfish, started becoming both a platform and a product as well as a Javasoft RI.
And who was the initiator? Was it your idea, or who was behind the entire thing?
I mean, it was a bunch of very smart people. I mean, Eduardo Koshike was there.
Okay.
Roberto Cinici was there. Jérôme Daucher.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah, Jérôme was the H2K or H, these CDI injection guys.
HK2.
HK2, okay.
Yeah. So I still see those guys a lot, So Koshike and Jérôme wrote HK2, which was the OSGI way of assembling higher components in Glassfish. So it was very modular.
Yeah, and this was how Glassfish 1 happened, right?
Yes. I was there doing a mix of things for Glassfish and tooling for it as well.
So Glassfish V1, I think I had never project with Glassfish V1, but V2 is where I got a lot of projects, and I spent a lot of my time with Glassfish V2. And I think this is where we met as well at various conferences.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, and you started to work on Glassfish exclusively, or was still,
No, I was still doing both Netbeans and Glassfish.
Okay.
So in Glassfish, I did, I remember talking to you about it. I did the admin backend, generating JAX-RS resources directly in bytecode using ASM.
Yeah. And this is where I remember exactly the conversation. What I remember, it was Java 1. And my idea was somehow to provide monitoring for Glassfish that we can just have, for the admin console REST interface. And you told me somehow wait. And then 2 weeks later, you sent me a mail and said, I was on vacation, now it's ready.
Yeah, I was on vacation in France. I remember spending 2 weeks, just by the seaside, like I'm now. And just doing this, no interruption, nobody calling me, nobody, sending me emails or stopping me by in the corridor. I was just, watching the sea and coding.
Yeah, and what happened was then we got, the REST interface for REST admin interface for Glassfish. That's what you did, right?
Yeah.
Then I asked how you did it. It was very simple. He said, I just generated everything. So, okay, this is great because we used it in lots of projects also for monitoring and automation. So this was the story.
Yeah.
And was it actually my idea or wanted to do this anyway? So what was the story?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I remember talking to you about it. Okay.
Yeah, I was impressed that you did it in two weeks. in 2 weeks. It was like incredible.
Yeah, but maybe I had this. I mean, I knew we could do things much simpler that anybody else was, talking about.
Yeah.
At that time, the ASM library was pretty nice. I mean, and I learned ASM. By the way, the ASM guy now is a Googler engineer.
Okay.
We still have bugs in ASM, and I complained to him.
Okay.
I don't care, but it's funny that all those smart guys, you can still find them in either Facebook or Google now.
Yeah, lots of people moved to Google actually. I think lots of your team are at Google right now. So the team.
Yeah. So Roberto was the first one. I mean, the first one from the Glassfish team. I mean, you had plenty of people from Javasoft, obviously. Sure. But after the Javasoft migration to Google, then the Glassfish and Java EE ecosystem migration started also to Google.
Mm-hmm. And then
it was mainly due to the Oracle acquisition.
Yeah, but before this, Glassfish v3 happened, and for me it was like step backward because everyone was excited about the modularization, and for me say, okay, but I never will modularize Glassfish. I will just start it and use it, and the starting time was slower because if you use v3 with the admin console, it take more time. And I always I had a conversation with Alexei, maybe with you, and I say, who cares about modularization? I would like to start the entire thing quickly. What are you talking about, right?
Talk to me about JDK 11,
9, JDK 9, yeah.
But who cares about modules in JDK? Nobody. I mean, at least not me. Maybe
the engineers who building JDK, they are caring. But for us, as a microservice, it doesn't matter. If I would use CLI, tooling, maybe I could load my own plugins or whatever. But right now, there is no business case except some leisure.
Yeah, but Glassfish v3, introduced, clustering, multiple VMs. So it was,
some features.
The normal fat that you need to add to a product so that you can sell it to enterprise,
Yeah, I understand it. I understood it, and I use v3, of course, a lot. And then was the time almost when Oracle happened, right?
Yeah, so Oracle happened. Sun did not go anywhere. Too bad Google did not buy Sun.
Yeah,
I think the history would be much different now. But anyway,
Oracle. I think Oracle is not that bad for Java.
Yes, I would agree with that now. Yes,
yeah, because I'm really surprised the pace and they are still doing interesting stuff. So this is
So yes, but definitely Oracle did not care at all about Glassfish. It was competing against their own application server.
This was strange. Yeah.
And some people try to coexist between the two teams, but obviously Oracle and Sun had a completely different way of doing things.
What I remember, it was like kind of a secret meeting from Oracle. And they called me, but I was not hired by them. But management, they're like the WebLogic management, called me, and for me it was night. So I was back from a consulting gig, and I cannot remember the people, but what I said, okay, the WebLogic is losing momentum, and JBoss is getting more and more popular, and they were afraid of JBoss, and they asked me what should we do or what is my idea. And I say, but you have, Glassfish. I use in all my project Glassfish. No one uses WebLogic anymore. Why you not pushing more stuff in Glassfish? But they didn't want to hear this. And they asked me, they say, can you write a white paper for us, to explain this? Sure. But my opinion is, Glassfish should be pushed more. Glassfish is just genius. And then I didn't got the contract. So this was. I remember this right now, and I exactly know where I was in the parking lot in the night. For me, it was like 1 p.m. And I had a talk with people, which I only knew two. They were WebLogic managers, and the others one, no idea. And they say, yeah, but could you write a paper? I was like, yeah, but this is what I tell you right now. As I'm convinced that Glassfish would win, so invest more in Glassfish. But they didn't want to hear this, and then
of course,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Well, Yeah.
It's like a politics, of course. Yeah, right.
It's standard practice. Okay. I mean, if
Yeah.
you have a high level direction and strategy, then
Yeah.
you need to follow up on it. And, you know, you need to
you're
kill
right.
people or technology. Doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah, I know it because but
as a side effect, then it impacts human beings, and as human beings, I think all my friends were much happier in an environment like Google than Oracle.
This could be. So I have no idea because I never worked for a company, but you seemed always happy. You know, what I remember, you left Oracle or you left Sun?
I left Oracle.
Okay, so you worked for Oracle for a while?
Yeah, I worked for almost a year, I think.
And was there a difference between Sun and Oracle immediately? Or?
Oh, it was night and days, yes.
Okay, interesting. But you liked Sun, as I remember, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Sun was an amazing company for an engineer.
This was also my observation. So for me, from outside, I never worked for Sun, but I mean, I observed. For me, it was like a dream, right? So it's like interesting.
It was a dream, except for salespeople or marketing people who didn't know how to make money.
Yeah.
But in terms of the engineering culture and the engineering environment, it was more or less like what I've seen at Google as well.
Yeah. And then
except
you left
Google as a source of revenue. Ads and search. So it's just they will not be bothered by trying to market things that they don't want to market.
Yeah. So you left Oracle and went to Google. So can you talk what you did at Google, or is it like NDA or?
No, I can talk about it. I joined the Google AppEngine team. And AppEngine, if you know it, is either the first or one of the very first platform as a service offering. Mm-hmm. So you write your web archive, the WAR, So it's a Java EE WAR application. I'm just talking about the Java runtime. Yeah. We had other runtimes, but for Java, you wrote a web archive with web.xml that you could customize a little bit with AppEngine-web.xml. Where we would add only AppEngine specific things. And you would do not gcloud, but whatever command line, deploy, and my war, right? Mm-hmm. And we would deploy it and serve it on a URL. Mm-hmm. And when you have 0 customers, you wouldn't pay nothing for it. And when you have 10 customers or 10,000 or 100,000 or even 1 million, we would be able to still serve this application by getting it on different JVMs and different machines, even different regions. So it was amazing. So it was, to me, it was what Java EE application server should be.
Exactly.
If you have 0 customer, first of all, you deploy your WAR. Yeah. Okay. You don't know which JDK it's using. You don't know which operating system it's using. You don't know, if it's Ubuntu, if it's whatever. You don't care. Yeah. The only thing you care about is your business logic, which is a collection of classes and JSPs. Mm-hmm. And the backend can scale it from 0 to almost infinity.
Yeah, and what I remember, the AppEngine had even own JPA-like persistence, right? And
yes. So we tried, yeah. So we had those mappings with JPA as well, with JPA to a cloud data store. Mm-hmm. Our AppEngine data store. Mm-hmm. So at that time, Google Cloud did not exist. Okay, AppEngine was all Google Cloud.
Yeah, it is very similar to Heroku, right?
So AppEngine had to do everything. Yeah, AppEngine had to create the notion of a cloud project, command line tool, admin GUI. And then services, it's not you write Java, but you want to communicate with a database, with Memcache, with mails, with blob store, with task queues. So we also had to write all those Google backend services that were running outside of your application, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you would access with APIs. So the AppEngine APIs. which is one single jar, which is a small RPC client, marshalling protocol buffers, that are sent to all those external services. And now, you have the concept of Google Cloud Project, the Google Cloud Admin Console, the Google Cloud Command Line Tools, Google Cloud Data Store, which is separated from AppEngine, Google Cloud Memcache, Google Cloud Task Queue or Task. So all those embedded services created and invented by AppEngine have been extracted from AppEngine and can run now also outside of AppEngine.
But AppEngine was quite successful, right? So,
it is still the most successful project today. We are making tons of money.
Yeah,
and this is funny because we want people to migrate to new things.
Yeah,
Cloud Run, Cloud Function, GCP. So we want people to move to other layers of the platform. And the original AppEngine customer, they love so much AppEngine, they don't want to move.
Yeah, this is actually the serverless experience. Serverless. It was the first serverless, actually. This was the invention of serverless computing model, right?
AppEngine is serverless, right?
It always was.
Except that you're not built by the microsecond. You are built, if you use it 1 second, you are charged with 15 minutes. But it's only a billing issue. It's not a and we could have changed AppEngine to build at the microsecond, but we decided that would be new products. But anyway, AppEngine is the first serverless product at Google, but also I think outside of Google.
Yeah, I also think so. And you started the AppEngine project, or was it before?
So I joined in 2011, so exactly 10 years ago. It was still a beta product.
Okay.
And it had only 2 runtimes, Python and Java. And Python, I think, was preview in 2008, and Java was previewed in 2009.
Okay.
So it was, a year and a half about the preview, but we were still beta. So it was just, I think when I joined, we were maybe doing 5 or 10 millions revenue per year. And we were doubling maybe every two months. The growth was, amazing.
This was always ask myself why Sun is not doing this, because for me it's also push the word to the cloud and then it should distribute automatically.
So this is why I loved AppEngine, because AppEngine was, the perfect solution to what I wanted to do.
Yeah. The only thing I had I chat with engineers from Cloud Engine or architects at Java 1, and we had a chat on transactions, and I say, okay, just put an annotation on the thing, and what you do behind, it doesn't matter. There is some mapping between local transaction and the store. And they say, no, we don't like transactions. We see where you're coming from. You are an enterprise developer, but we don't care. I was like, well, you have to care. This was, I think, before you joined AppEngine. So there was like, for unknown reasons, the AppEngine people were at the Java 1 back then, but it was before Sun's Java 1, and I chatted with them. Okay. Yeah. But what you did specifically at AppEngine? You were a low-level AppEngine developer, or what you had to do?
At Google, you have to code. You have to, when you are hired at Google, whatever your age, if you are young or old, the only way to, not to survive, but to live in the engineering culture company like Google, you have to code. So, maintaining the product, making it scale, moving it from Java 5 to Java 6, moving it from Java 6 to Java 7, then Java 7 to Java 8. And I'm happy to tell you now that you can, in a preview, use Java 11 AppEngine. So the exact same application that you could write in 2008. The exact same application, same AppEngine APIs, okay, that at that time was using Java 5. If you are not using JDK internal bugs or non-specified behavior, the same application can run today on Java 11.
Incredible. And you are still in the AppEngine team?
Yes. So Java 11. So we try to tell people stop using the AppEngine APIs, use a new APIs, blah blah blah. But it works for new customers, greenfield projects, but it doesn't work for customers that have been using AppEngine for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And how much do you support from the Java EE? So it's like a little bit JPA, servlets, and what else?
Yeah, I mean, JSPs, and yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Servlets. Anything servlet based. So Spring Boot would work on AppEngine. Mm-hmm. Even though in a Spring Boot you don't see servlet, but there is a servlet, or I mean, a low-level servlet. And the container the web server we are using is JT.
Okay.
So again, we moved from JT6 to JT7, 8, 9. And the past 18 months, I've been struggling to move from JT9.3 to JT9.4. Okay.
Incredible. I thought you worked on something else, but I didn't know that you were working on Google AppEngine. This is even better. And what I really admire is even if you worked for Google AppEngine, you still, from time to time joined my sessions at Java 1. It's like incredible that you are attending actually my session. It was a nice touch. Yeah. So we met, on the
but whole... No, so I've been only doing AppEngine since I joined Google. Mm-hmm. So which is absolutely not normal. I mean, people at Google, they keep changing, either quitting or changing jobs, but I did not change anything.
Mm-hmm. But AppEngine has actually a bright future now at the on AWS. So there is AppRun, I think, a new service very similar to Google AppEngine.
Yes.
And Lightsail also goes to this direction. And and AppEngine was first, I would say. It just this is the. And by the way, are you aware of the project Payara Cloud? No.
So no.
No. Payara, is the successor of Glassfish, right?
Yes,
So and what they did is genius. So I like the idea. So the clustering, there is a shoal behind the scenes, and it controls the nodes. So Payara Cloud basically is Kubernetes operator, and you are submitting a war, and it manages the pods for you, starting Payara micro instances, completely transparent for you. So I just thinking this is a great idea. Because you can, it's just like Google AppEngine, with something different product, very similar impact. So you are uploading the war, and it distributes the stuff. You get your DNS name, and you are done. And I just like the idea because many said, okay, application servers are dead, and this is actually the exact opposite of Quarkus, Helidon, and the others. So that that an application server manages the cluster for you, as it always did. But instead of building the infrastructure by themselves, they're using Kubernetes. So you don't have to write the YAML. And back to Kubernetes. We should record another podcast now about modularization. But
so you know what? Kubernetes project was created inside the AppEngine team. So it might be a scoop for you, but Kubernetes has been created by 3 people working as an AppEngine engineers in my team, reporting to my manager.
Okay.
So I know a lot about the history of Kubernetes.
So can you say that Kubernetes is your fault right now, right? So you gave too much resources to the engineers.
Yes, maybe. I don't know.
But it was called Borg and Omega, right? And Omega was the open source effort, and then it became open source.
Yeah, I mean, we can go forever on that.
Okay.
Borg is the internal cloud at Google. Okay. I mean, Borg is the operating system that runs all the Google applications. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of them is Gmail, one of them is Search, and one of them, and it's one single application. Okay, one of them is Google AppEngine.
Okay,
so Google AppEngine is one application, one single application, right? With multiple layers, right?
Yeah,
and you can deploy in a multi-tenant way millions of applications. Mm-hmm. And one application can scale from 0 to millions of VMs. Mm-hmm. But it's still one application.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What I also think you also was involved in the gVisor project, right?
Well, so gVisor, yes.
Yeah.
So when we decided to move from Java 7 to Java 8, right? it should have been an easy move, right? Because
Yeah.
Java is almost compatible, and you just change the JDK, you change the command line of your entry point. It should take a week, right?
Mhm.
So you would give this job to an intern who would say, okay, maybe in 4 weeks, you can upgrade everybody to Java 8, right?
Yeah.
And it took us for 4 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm. What was the problem?
I have a public talk about it. Nobody has been listening to it, but it's a bit of history. But basically, we realized that Java 8.
Can you send me the link to your talk? Because I will just put it to the show notes and I will listen to it.
Yeah, or I mean, it's a PDF. I don't remember if it has been recorded, or if it's recorded, maybe it's in French.
Oh.
But anyway, Java 8 introduced new things for scripting languages like Invoke Dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Invoke Dynamic?
And NAS1 stuff, and Invoke Dynamic, for the scripting languages, bytecode extension.
And the original sandbox layer of AppEngine, which was a hack, but I cannot talk about it.
Yeah.
Could not really secure Java 8 bytecode anymore.
Okay.
Every week we would find new ways of writing bytecode that would allow a bad customer to find from a war application. You could write bytecode that would find, I'm running in Borg, or I'm running a shared operating system at Google, and I can find another job, running next to me, and I could kill it, or, So basically, we could not secure Java 8 the way we were able to secure Java 6 and Java 7.
Okay.
And at that time, we would have said, okay, either we kill AppEngine because we could not upgrade to Java 8, or at Google, you always have a project that has started maybe 10 years ago, that you can use, or you can invest more money to solve your little problem.
Okay.
And gVisor was an internal project used a little bit in YouTube to do some YouTube post-processing. And we decided to say, this will be the future of AppEngine. We have to make it the new sandbox. And we just spent 3 or 4 years just expanding gVisor so that we could deliver Java 8 runtime in AppEngine. So, yeah. And then gVisor became public. And now it's a basic of Cloud Run function. So all the serverless story of Google, could not have been done without our need to migrate from Java 7 to Java 8 in AppEngine.
It's actually quite a history, right? What you did. You had a lot of influence if you think about that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And the gVisor is like additional layer above Linux, which is able to prevent specific system calls, right?
Yeah, so, it's not even preventing, it's a rewrite of those syscalls. So in the preview sandbox, we were using a layer that is doing exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
In gVisor is a new implementation of the libc library with extensions called gophers. That you can extend to provide you access to a Cloud SQL or a DNS or a networking but so it's basically running a process, whatever process. And for us, it was a JVM process in a sandbox, which is securing this JVM process.
Okay.
So the JVM process is, for example, seeing a /tmp file system or a /myapplication file system, right? Where you have your war file. So if you stay on the JVM, it's fine. You see a file system, you see a process. You can launch a new process if you want, using process builder in JVM. But you are not really seeing what the real operating system is seeing.
Yeah, it's like because JVM is not secure enough for your purposes, it cannot break out, right? Because what it sees is like a fake world. It's like a matrix for JVM, what you did.
It is a matrix for JVM. And we could spend another 10 years talking about is JVM is secure, and obviously JVM is not secure. I mean, they're gonna get rid of the security manager because it never worked. It's a nightmare. The Java security permission, all this crap is a nightmare. You should really look at the source code of it. I mean, it's insane. It's terrible. It was written in 96, 97. Nobody knows how to make it work anymore. Anyway, so you cannot secure JVM using bytecode.
Yeah.
So and we had to have this extra, layer called gVisor. Anyway, so gVisor saved AppEngine. And now gVisor is also saving Cloud Run and the future of serverless at Google.
Okay. And are you still excited about AppEngine or?
Yes, definitely I am more than ever.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Can you maybe share, some killer features around of AppEngine right now? What you like the most? So you already said this is like a serverless model. You push the war and you are done. Anything else?
Yeah, so if, for example, and again, this is not maybe the marketing at Google, but if you just compare it to Cloud Run, Cloud Run, you push a Docker image, right? And then we manage it the same way we manage your app in AppEngine. So in a sense, it's the same, except that in order to push a Docker image, as an application builder, you need to think about a JDK and a base image. Is it Ubuntu? Is it whatever? You have thousands of base images you can pick from, where you would install another, not 1,000, but maybe 50 type of JVMs. Do you pick this JVM, that JVM? So you also need to think about all those layers. And then you need to think about your application and the web server this application is using. So do you pick Spring? Do you pick Quarkus? Do you pick JT? Do you pick Glassfish? Do you pick Tomcat? Do you pick, all those layers? If you're a business analyst, you don't give a about it, right?
Exactly.
So in a sense, you have more power with Cloud Run because you're in charge. And because you're in charge, then your base image after 2 weeks, I know it, is already obsolete because it has 10 CV that could be used to attack it.
Even worse.
Right?
What I see in projects is the developers pick whatever image they can find just to make the application run and ship it to the cloud. That's actually the result of my code review right now, because they're picking whatever image that they found from Bitnami, whatever. It's like, but I mean, you know what they are doing. This is a product. You have to be in charge of it. You cannot just say.
I'm sure in those layers you have crypto mining library that will kick off, at night in 2 years or whatever. Anyway, so you have more power, and then me as a business developer, I don't want this power. I want someone to tell me, okay, it's you can use this and this, and we will fully maintain it.
Yeah, very good.
So this is what I like AppEngine, because I find it even simpler than Cloud Run.
Yes, of course. And what we should do, I should invite you back in a couple of weeks or months. It really depends on you. I try to invite you, for months, but you are a busy man. And we should talk about, Xtorclet, Kubernetes, AppEngine, and serverless, because we share the same opinion, or I share with you a similar opinion to yours. The problem is, if we start with it right now, it will take at least 2 hours. Just talk about that.
And remember, I'm on vacation, so I need to go back.
Exactly.
On vacation.
So, thank you. It was a pleasure to talk with you. It was really nice, to remember the old times. And I hope you enjoyed it also a little bit. And where people can find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter. Mm-hmm. My Twitter is Ludoc, Ludoch, and a little bit on LinkedIn, but
Okay.
No, Ludoc is where I communicate sometimes.
Okay. So, but Twitter is enough. And GitHub?
I love attending conferences, so hopefully I will be able to start again going to either DevOps or Java one. I think the Java one in September will be remote as well, no?
There will be no Java one. It's called Code One right now. And I have no idea whether September, I will have to look it up. But the last one was remote, I think, yeah.
So anyway, I miss a lot attending conferences. So
yeah, then we will meet at conference the next time, hopefully. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.